made it into Channel 4's Top 100 Comedians of All Time earlier this year? The answer is 6.
That's right, just 6 made it onto the list. Victoria Wood, Joan Rivers, Shappi Kasandi, Jo Brand, Roseanne Barr and Jenny Eclair. No, by the way, you've not just come round for a drug-induced stupor. This really is the right stuff. And yes, it's gone 8:30 at night. Everything is OK. We're having a little party to celebrate 10 years brightening up your morning. Lisa Faulkner, Sanjeev Bhaskar and Catherine Tate are on the panel. The audience is a sea of celebrity. Coming up shortly, we'll be looking back at the best and worst things to have happened on this show during the past decade. So stay tuned for a bundle of laughs. First, though, talking of laughs, why aren't women as funny as men? 0207 173 5555 is the number if you think you know the answer. BBC Two controller Janice Hadlow told the Edinburgh TV Festival the other day she wants to see more women fronting comedy shows. But could she be making a big mistake? The much-published American psychologist Robert Provine reckons the sexes are split when it comes to humour. When men tell jokes, 71% of women laugh and 60% of men. When a woman's trying to be funny, only 50% of women will have a chuckle and only 38% of fellas will feel their ribs tickled. Is this proof that men are funnier? Does this explain why, in 29 years, only 2 women have ever won top honours at the Edinburgh Festival? Jenny Eclair in 1995, Laura Solon in 2005. Of course, there are loads of funny women out there. Loads. Dawn French, Jennifer Saunders, Miranda Hart, Ruby Wax, Sandra Bernhardt, Catherine Bleeding Tate, for heaven's sake. But are you the exceptions that prove the rule, Catherine?
I frankly hope so, because I don't want any more competition.
Do you?
Great. Yeah, most of them aren't really funny.
Do you think audiences react differently depending on who is trying to entertain them?
I think there's a difference between a female stand-up and a male stand-up in terms of audience perception. And when I used to do stand-up, they used to say an audience will give a male stand-up about 40 seconds to decide whether or not they're going to laugh, to be funny. With a woman, they reckon first 10 seconds. First 10 seconds, they'll decide if they fancy you, and the second 10 seconds, they'll decide whether or not they'll laugh. So you've got to be a lot quicker in with it as a female stand-up.
Why? Why is there that difference?
Because I do think socially people are conditioned to think that it's actually not a woman's place to stand up, to demand the stage, to say what I'm going to tell you is funny, and it's OK to laugh at it. Because it is a very male thing to do. And I think it's not the case that there's not lots and lots and lots of funny women out there. Of course there's lots of funny, brilliant women out there. But I do think perhaps the ones that have pushed through have had to do it with quite a male attitude. I think that's probably what it is.
Oh, that's a lot of stuff to think about. Do you go along with it, Lisa?
Well, yeah, I do. And I think that women have almost gone into that sort of observational making characters. And so, therefore, you know, you don't see them as stand-up. And I would love to watch telly at prime time and see a woman doing stand-up, and it's very, very rare. But all the observational comedy and the characters, well, it's just women that, you know, I mean, Catherine makes me laugh so much. I think you're brilliant. And so, you know, I think women have it now.
So the stand-up could be the issue. Would you agree with that, Sanjeev, that it's a different environment for women in stand-up than it is for men?
Who cares as long as they got great knockers?
Oh, bless.
Anyway, on a more jokey issue, it is, yeah, because the stand-up thing, I mean, Catherine's absolutely right. Stand-up comedy is very much about competition. It's about getting the last laugh, and when you're writing with other guys as well, it's about topping the last joke. That's how you get to your final gag. And so, you know, hecklers are generally male. Because it's, again, about that kind of environment.
Because they're Larry, drunk so-and-sos,
well, that helps, obviously. But but whereas if you get into kind of character writing, and you get into, say, rom-coms, for instance, like Nora Ephron, right, When Harry Met Sally, which was wonderfully crafted, very funny, you know, great characters, and it's comedy then with depth. And I think, you know, people like Catherine are very unusual in terms of being able to do caricature comedy, because it is a very male domain.
What about this idea that a guy gets 40 seconds to make his mark in a stand-up club and a woman gets 10 seconds plus? Does that sound about right?
Yeah. But you're right, because it is instantly about, do you find them attractive? It is kind of, blokes are shallow that way.
Because that's how women are...
But the women in the audience react differently as well. They're less likely to laugh at another woman.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I don't believe that.
No, I don't.
I don't believe that.
At all.
And in my experience as a stand-up, I never experienced that.
Let's go to the audience. Eric.
OK, well, we've got top comedian Steve first next to me. We've also got Scott as well. So where do you stand on this?
Behind you, probably, Eric.
Get your hand off my crotch. I think...
You wish.
I think comedy is kind of like religion. It's all about men rattling on and women shutting up. I think people feel very, very uncomfortable listening to a woman be funny. They feel immediately competitive with her. It's interesting for me, though, being from America, because I grew up watching women on TV who are comics. Yeah. I never had this impression that women were less funny till I came here. It seems an insular, sort of British issue, and I feel like, having seen Catherine on stage when she was doing stand-up in Edinburgh years and years ago, you were quite rough. It was a late-night gig, but you were quite aggressive with them, and you won them over immediately. And like you said earlier, if that's considered a masculine characteristic, then you were quite male with them, and you kind of controlled and manipulated them quite quickly, and you have great knockers.
It sounds really... So, I'm up for a bit of manipulation. What about Steve?
Steve?
There's a lot of truth being spoken. I think this whole kind of the women have got 5 minutes to prove that they are funny, and men have got 5 minutes to prove that they're not funny is absolutely true. There's also, and I think we're a lot further behind than the Americans, and I think there's in terms of writing and column writers, particularly in this country, probably 4 or 5 of the funniest people that I follow on Twitter are women, and I think that that they're feeling more comfortable behind the scenes, as it were, at the moment.
The time's changing, Steve. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I think it's just going to take a little bit longer, and I think we are seeing much better female comics coming, even though there's probably a stand-up comedian not too far from me who doesn't think that.
You have to be aware also that the comedy scene is much more supportive of men, and if you were to open a club or 2 or 5 that supported female comics, a lot more funny women would show up because they'd feel, buffered by that.
Okay. Let's go to the phones, Kirsty.
OK, we have Gillian on line 1.
Gillian, good morning.
Good evening.
Good evening. Oh, I've done it. Right, let's start again. Gillian, good evening.
Good evening.
So who's funnier?
Well, I think men are generally funnier, but I think fundamentally they have to develop the humour to attract women, whereas women concentrate more on their looks, and I think subconsciously that's why they're funnier. Because I think the first thing, if you were to ask a woman what does she look for in a man, she will genuinely say a sense of humour and mean that, whereas men would look first and foremost for good looks.
I've got you. So men developed the sense of humour as a way of attracting women when we were told we could no longer beat you around the head and drag you by your hair. That would be about right, yeah?
But similarly, I think most women do find men with a sense of humour and who are funny men really attractive, but a lot of men don't fancy women who are funny.
Competition.
Yeah, definitely.
Competition.
I think they're scared of women that are funny.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Because they want their women in the kitchen, like my wife, cooking and cleaning. Where is she? Why are you out? Go home. Where's my dinner? Ain't that the truth? Now, after the break, really, after the break, we're going to look back at some of the highs and lows of the past 10 years. MPs guzzling Viagra, Biggins sticking something revolting in his mouth just for a change, and the day my boyfriend outed me live on national television. Oh, and our celebrity audience will tell us about some of their favourite bits too. We've got more than 2,000 shows under our belt. It's no surprise that occasionally things go wrong, like when you get an unexpected visitor quite literally dropping by. Oh, my word, this... I tell you what, some people will do anything to catch this show, Hello, mate.
I think it's one of Boy George's...
I don't know who was more freaked out, him or me. It was a hell of an entrance, and what's more, I can exclusively reveal that geezer now his own series on Dave. We'll see you after the break.
How many audience bombs on seats have there been on the Wright Stuff since the show started in 2000? 10, 30 or 50,000? Find out after the ads.